Professor, to you first, what did you think of the statement that was just made by the former president? What'd you take from that?
Well, the president had made some valid points. You know, it is true that these forms come with a clause that says you shouldn't rely on the representations that have been made, but the court rejected that
Professor,
argument.
I'm sorry, I've interrupted you so many times, but I think we're seeing something that we frankly did not expect. There's a camera in that courtroom. Was that supposed to be, or would they just be simply ushered out when we're gavelled to order?
Well, you're more likely to have cameras in state proceedings, and so it's up to the discretion of the judge. And quite frankly, I'm not too sure that both parties wouldn't want this. I think that Trump views this, the optics of this, as working to his advantage. Look, people looking at this live picture right now will be either filled with rage or they will be thrilled. And that's the problem, is that, you know, you have James now being shown in the background, you've got Trump in the foreground, and it fulfills the narrative on both sides. Trump is likely right. I mean, he's being shown in a sort of tag team series of prosecutions and civil lawsuits where one prosecutor tags another. They're all insisting on these trials occurring before the election. There are many people that find that troubling. And so he's right in that I think that it's not going to do much in terms of his standing in the election. The problem that he has is this New York law, that the New York law is different from most jurisdictions. He's been prosecuted in what's called a Section 6312 action. You don't need to show intent to defraud, and you don't need to show that people lost money. And I think a lot of people will look at that and go, well, why have all of these proceedings, this huge effort, if no money was lost? But it gets even more wicked from there, because the state can what's called disgorge profits, even though people didn't lose money. So in a case like Ernst & Young and other cases, they were able to get millions and millions of dollars to disgorge the profits, even though those weren't damages to anyone in particular. So this is not what most people think of when they hear that someone has defrauded. The state here is saying, we want the profits because there's a pattern of fraudulent representation.
Well, you know, Byron York joined the conversation. I think what we just saw was extraordinary.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, Bill, we clearly lost the camera shot. So the question now is, did the phone thugs get thrown out? Yes, this was about to get
This was essentially a photo op inside of a courtroom that doesn't allow cameras. But they allow the video cameras and the still photographers to come in, get a shot of Trump, get a shot of Letitia James, and get a shot of the judge, Arthur Engoron, who then took off his glasses and smiled at the camera. Byron, I think what we just watched here is, I think it's quite stunning.
I was struck by that, too. The judge seemed darn happy to be there and happy with the cameras being there, too, which, of course, is exactly one of the things that Trump is arguing here. It's part of his case that this is all political.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.